The Voith-Schneider propeller can be found wherever a vessel must be able to maneuver precisely, at all times, and with the highest degree of safety. For many years, passenger ships, floating cranes, and above all, Voith water tractors and double-ended ferries for short-distance operation have been equipped with this unique form of propulsion. With conventional propellers, the direction of thrust is along the axis of rotation. In the case of the Voith-Schneider propeller, on the other hand, the thrust is applied at right angles to this axis. Its direction can be varied at will. Yet another idea that was copied from nature in the form of a dolphin's tail fin. In the Voith-Schneider propeller, the rotor rotates uniformly. In addition, each blade oscillates in the course of a cycle. Seen in isolation, each vane of the VSP describes a cycloidal path. What determines the resulting thrust is the angle of attack of the blade and the resultant hydrodynamic lift. The thrust direction is defined by the phase correlation of the oscillating blades. So how does this unique propulsion system work? It can be powered by any standard marine engine. The drive shaft leads to a reduction gearbox. A spiral bevel gear, shown here in simplified form, transmits the rotational motion to the rotor and its blades, each mounted on a vertical axis. However, what decides the direction of thrust is a cyclic pitch of the blades. Two hydraulic servo motors, at right angles to each other, produce a precise offset of the central control rod and thus define the propulsion kinematics. The offset is transmitted to the individual blades of the Voith-Schneider propeller via a linkage. The combination of rotation and angle of attack produces any desired magnitude and direction of thrust. The advantages of the VSP are particularly evident in tight spaces, where maneuverability, high thrust and safety are demanded every day and in all weathers. Power and reliability define the quality of a ship's propulsion system, the quality of the Voith-Schneider propeller. The Voith Group of companies is a leading international engineering group with more than 12,000 employees all over the world, operating in the fields of paper technology, motive power, and hydraulic engineering. In its 130-year history, Voith has had a major influence on the way these industries have developed. The Voith-Schneider propeller came into being over 70 years ago, from the idea of an oscillating vane turbine. This propulsion system made new and revolutionary ship concepts possible, like the Voith water tractor and the double-ended ferry. We carry out basic research in theory and practice in our own model tank test laboratory. The optimum matching of propulsion system and ship's hull design determines the efficiency of the overall system. During the design stage, Voith Hydro's naval architects are in close cooperation with the engineers at the building yard.
Oh, Mr. Baum, that's very nice that you're calling me. We just completed the lines plan.
Computer-aided design and simulation tools, such as the finite element method, support the optimization. The uncompromising product quality is achieved by a highly motivated team. The Voith propeller is built in different sizes for a large variety of applications, with a blade orbit diameter from 1.2 meters up to 4.4 meters. Our quality management system meets the highest international standards. This car ferry has been in daily operation since 1959 on the Rhine, not far from the famous Lorelei Rock. That is proof of quality. The service life of the VSP is matched to the lifetime of the vessel for maximum profitability and security of your investment. A few miles upstream, modern ferries with Voith propulsion are in operation. Busy shipping traffic makes high demands on the maneuverability of the ferry. The captain must be able to rely on his propulsion system in all situations. Safe berthing and unberthing, rapid acceleration and braking, as well as quick dodging if necessary. And all this many times a day. Especially on short trips, the ratio of maneuvering time to crossing time has a decisive influence on the profitability of the ferry. Here you see a comparison between a single-ended ferry and a floating bridge, a double-ended ferry with Voith propulsion. Some 500 kilometers up the Rhine, we meet the Euregia. This modern double-ended ferry plies daily between Germany and Switzerland on Lake Constance. The alpine scenery and the moderate climate attract many tourists, but sudden changes in the weather and the notorious föhn wind can cause problems for shipping. The narrow harbour conditions contribute to the difficulties. This is where the special properties of the VSP come into their own. The ferry can be manoeuvred simply and precisely. Here it becomes evident. The shorter the crossing, the more the double-ended ferry has the competitive edge. Incidentally, the first practical trials of the Voith propeller took place here on Lake Constance in the early 30s. From an inland lake to the treacherous North Sea, car ferries depart from Den Helder in Holland to the island of Texel. Commuters especially need to rely on their floating bridge in summer and winter alike. Any lateral forces are compensated by the thrust capabilities of the Voith propulsion over the entire range of operating speeds. Here, for comparison, the conventional ferry with a bow thruster. It's no problem keeping the VSP vessel on course. The comparison with a conventional screw-driven ferry shows clearly that the Voith propeller has higher braking forces as well. Thanks to the continuously variable pitch control, the braking forces are available immediately and in full measure. The larger swept area of the propeller allows optimum transmission of power to the water, so the ferry is under precise control during any maneuvering phase. The Southampton Isle of Wight ferry. At the end of the crossing, the crew faces a difficult berthing manoeuvre, not entirely without risk. On an ebb tide, a strong current goes right into the berth in the narrow and very busy harbour at Cowes. A conventional ferry would have to execute a difficult and time-consuming manoeuvre to cope with the strong forces on its beam. The VSP-driven double-ended ferry, however, simply crosses the current. Even during berthing, when the ferry's speed is close to zero, the captain can easily manoeuvre the vessel against the current and hold his position precisely. The explanation is that the cycloidal propeller has no preferred direction of thrust. The efficiency is the same in all directions, irrespective of the vessel's speed. Thrust control can be varied immediately from zero to maximum in all directions, without undesired intermediate components disturbing the operation. The two VSP units can be controlled independently of each other. This becomes very important when crossing a boundary between currents. The shape of the vessel and the arrangement of the propellers are matched to the theatre of operations and the application. The standard configuration consists of two VSPs on the ship's longitudinal axis. In the event of high power requirement or limited draft, 4 Voith-Schneider propellers can be used. For ferries with a preferred free-running direction, the installation of 3 VSP units is perfectly feasible. Small double-ended ferries can be equipped with 2 units in a diagonal arrangement. It's the combination of all these advantages which makes the Voith-Schneider propeller such a superior propulsion system for double-ended ferries. This system has proved its reliability for decades and offers unique maneuvering features. Safety and profitability are guaranteed even under most difficult operating conditions. The controls are logical and simple. The vessel reacts immediately and predictably. The low RPM and the proverbial quality of Voith engineering ensure high reliability, robustness and decades of valuable service. All in all, these are extensive and unique advantages for the ferry service and its operator, which pay for themselves within a few years. Double-ended ferries with Voith-Schneider propulsion make the day's work easier, more efficient, safer and more profitable.